Gee, this feels like a very inappropriate place to do this review.
Alright, that's a little bit more appropriate. Van by Clowncore. Clowncore is a thing that exists. They are a musical duo that combines elements of grindcore, jazz, and electronic music to create this really odd, off-putting sort of sound, and they do it anonymously behind these spooky clown masks and jumpsuits, kind of like if Clown from Slipknot had his own completely messed up grindcore jazz project. And this is actually the second release that they're sort of known for. They became popular back in 2018 with a release called Toilet, which, as you can guess from the name, was recorded in a porta potty. And that kind of went viral back in 2018. I think it was in the midst of that whole clown pandemic. But here we are now in 2020, and it seems like a very appropriate year for something so ridiculous and spooky to come out. The album itself, I mean, it's only 17 minutes long. It's kind of your typical length for a grindcore record. You know, the music on it is actually pretty good. Like, I mean, if we're taking this entire thing as just a joke, it's easy to see where the humor is, but there is actually a really interesting and serious undercurrent to the music on this, and you get a feel for it almost pretty much right away with tracks like Computers, where, you know, you have these weird grindcore elements that give way to these blistering saxophone solos and very odd and interesting sort of time signature changes in which both members of the band are right on point with how they sort of traverse these weird stop-start time signature changes, and it's all very well orchestrated. You can tell that the band is actually well rehearsed, which for, you know, a sort of comedy side project kind of thing is really unheard of. There's also tracks like Earth, where they bring in some very, you know, sort of break step kind of influences, and even a couple of tracks like Existence and The Incomprehensible Realms of Suffering. I'll put the title of the track down here because I don't have a list. I don't have a script with me. Somehow, though, this is going to be more professional than the record was. They dabble a bit with like more traditional sort of jazz fusion sounds. Tears of God is another one that's sort of very jazz fusion-y. But then they have these moments of just sheer brutal terror, like the track Van. McDonald's is sort of an extension of Van if you've watched the music videos, which are hilarious, by the way. Those tracks, though, tend to lean a little bit more heavily towards the grindcore side of things. So even though these two musicians are anonymous, there's plenty of evidence suggesting that it's Louis Cole from the band Knower and Sam Grendel, I think it is, who plays saxophone in that group. And, I mean, it's kind of just hilarious to see how these two completely different musical voices kind of come together for this absolutely insane and ludicrous musical project. And I don't know what it is with this project. Maybe it's the combination of the very high-level musicianship and completely over-the-top sort of silliness of it. I mean, there are lyrics on some of these songs, although you wouldn't guess it from the actual vocals, with such killer lines as, "I want to die in a submarine accident," and "The world is flat because you are fat." Yeah, absolute bangers. And maybe it's a combination of that with just the overall hilariousness and silliness of the whole thing. It doesn't feel like any other release that's come out this year. It's appropriately timed for Halloween, the COVID-19 pandemic. Everything about this release is just weird, and it feels weird to say this, but This album is actually gunning for my top 10 albums of the year in 2020, and that's so weird for like a very not serious comedy side project recorded in the back of a minivan. So anyway, yeah, this is a short review, so maybe a little rambly, and obviously I'm recording this with a potato because I can't have my full audio set up in here, but I just wanted to give this album a really cool shout out and just like, wow, that was fantastic. That was awesome. You guys should check it out. You know, oddly enough, it's a very progressive kind of release for just the musicality. It's got all these really interesting prog elements through it. I think even if you're not really into grindcore, if you're not really into the sort of funny clown aesthetic, you'll probably find something to dig on this record. Anyway, that was Van by Clowncore. Absolutely love it. Anyway, thank you for watching.